is Athena Plot, and welcome to my channel. On this channel I talk about crafting, all things knitting and fiber art, and today in this video I am discussing my trip to Italy and some of the crafting and fiber art things that I did there. I am currently attending the Fashion Institute of Technology as a knitwear fashion design student, and this is my last year, my senior year, so those are some of my qualifications when it comes to knitting and fiber art. I had the opportunity to travel to Venice and Florence and got to visit textile and fashion museums like the Museo Fortuny Museum and Museo Ferragamo, as well as the Palazzo Gucci Museum. And then these are some of my thoughts and some of my recommendations on what to do when you're there. In the description below, I will leave the document that I made with the outline of this video and some links of some of my personal recommendations. The first day in Venice, my mom and I attended a walking tour and a gondola ride. I highly suggest anytime you visit a new place to schedule a walking tour with a local. There are many walking tours in Europe. My personal favorite are the food tours and walking tours from Eating Europe, so I highly suggest doing the Eating Europe walking tours, and I will have that link in the PDF that I have down below. We saw monuments in Venice like Ponte de Rotolta, so I will butcher the language and I am sorry in advance, which is Ponte de Rotolta, which I will have a picture of, is one of the most famous bridges in Venice. So another museum that I went to, this is a very textile-oriented museum, is the Fortuny Museum. The museum presents paintings, fabrics, and Fortuny lamps on the first floor together with the history of the Palazzo and its atelier on the second floor. The building still has features created by Fortuny. The working environment is represented through wall hangings, paintings, and lamps. This is a description on the company Fortuny. Mariano Fortuny is a textile company known for its luxury cotton, velvet, and wool fabrics. The company's fabrics produced using original machinery and secret processes are still in operation today after Fortuny's death in 1949. So he was born in Grandia, Spain, the son celebrated painter Maria Fortuny in Mosul. Fortuny's father died when he was only 3 years old, and his mother raised him mostly in Paris. When he was 18 years old, his mother moved the family to Venice, where he fell in love with the city's rich history, deciding to infuse cultural references from the past into his contemporary designs. He was working as an inventor in innovating across genres, creating advanced diffuse lighting systems, stage designs for the theater, and altering textile machines to create spatial dimensionality in fabrics. Publicly, he was most notable for his fashion as a fashion designer, making dresses of Japanese silk, such as the Delpho gown was his most popular design in 1922. Another thing I wanted to show you from Venice that I got was the Fortuny fabric. So this is what the fabric looks like. I just got a sample because they are kind of expensive. They do have an office in New York, so I guess if I wanted to order some fabric, I can always order fabric. But look at the colors, it kind of like glimmers. And then I think this is cotton. This one is by far my favorite. So I wanted to show that I got some fabric samples. And I thought this would be nice for school to have. I got to go to a yarn store while I visited called La Bella. I really liked the yarn store and felt comfortable touching the yarn and shopping. Say in Venice, prices are really expensive and steep, especially at this yarn shop. I bought this beautiful cashmere, which is right here, which is exclusive to the yarn shop. So this is the cashmere. And it's really fluffy. It is 79 cashmere and 21 silk. And cashmere is really expensive. It's called Biella, right there. And it's like fluffio. And then this is the information about it. But it is exclusive to this yarn store. And it was very expensive. I think it was 29 euro a skein. This is very soft. And I got 3 skeins. So this is what I got from that yarn shop. St. Mark's Basilica is the highlight of the Piazza St. Marco, which translates to St. Marco Square, which is the main square in Venice. The architecture is a good example of Middle Byzantine, Romanesque, and Islamic influences are very evident, and Gothic elements are later incorporated in the basilica. It is really pretty on the outside, and it's definitely very, very pretty on the inside as well. I will have like a photo of me like in front of it. It is an absolutely beautiful church and definitely worth going inside. It is beautiful inside and out, and if you buy a ticket, you can see a lot of the tile work up close in their museum, and you get up to one of the roofs to see a beautiful view of Piazza St. Marco. It is also a very good picture spot, the view from the roof. You can see Doge's Palace from the roof, as well as the whole square, which is really pretty. Also, if you buy a ticket to go into the basilica, you must make sure to buy a ticket that allows you to see Palo de Oro. The Palo de Oro was thought to be first commissioned in 976 by Doge Pietro Orsolio, where it is made up of precious stones and several enamels depicting various saints, and in 1105 it was expanded by Doge or Delofo. In 1345, the goldsmith Giovanni Paolo was commissioned to complete the altarpiece by Andrea Donolo, who was the procurator at the time and later became Doge. Giovanni added a Gothic style to the frame, to the piece, along with more precious stones. Also included an inscription describing what his own additions were, along with those of his predecessors. yarn shop called Mirko Filati. This was by far my favorite yarn shop of the trip. It was so big and approachable. I did not feel weird touching any yarn and felt comfortable spending a long time deciding what to buy. The women working there were so cute and lovely. They could not speak very well fluent English, but that was not a negative thing at all and did not prohibit me from shopping. The prices were by far the best prices I saw while I was in Italy. Yarn skeins ranged between €4 to €8. I did not see anything over 15 euros, which is amazing. I mostly looked at wool. I did not look at cashmere while I was there, so cashmere is obviously very expensive, so I don't know about the prices of cashmere at that shop since I've already bought cashmere before. Amazing prices in comparison to the last store I went in Venice. Overall, Venice is very expensive, so I would suggest doing most of your shopping outside of Venice and just buying small things there. But overall, the prices of yarn is very cheap in Italy in comparison to the US. I bought 3 skeins of this merino made in Italy. So this is the yarn. So I bought 3 skeins of this really pretty brown grayish color. It's from Mandel, made in Italy, quality since 1946. And it's 50% merino and then 50% microfiber. It is a superwash yarn, and it uses needle size for 3 to 4 millimeter needles. So I thought this was really pretty. So the other yarn I got while I was there was another Mandel. It's the same brand, but this is called the Biolana. And it is 100% organic wool made in Italy. And it has all these like certifications on it. Here you go. And then needle size 4 to 5 millimeters. So I thought this was a really pretty blue color. I am a very big fan. Okay, my favorite museum that I went to throughout the whole entire trip was the Museo Ferragamo Museum. By far my favorite museum. I loved learning about Salvatore Ferragamo and how in 1927 Salvatore Ferragamo incorporates his first company based in Florence, which is the building that I went to and where the museum is at, is where his company was originally there, focusing on the study, creation, and manufacture and sales of ladies' footwear. So this is a brief description of what Ferragamo did in his life. And then this is from the Museo Ferragamo website, this one quote. 100 years have elapsed since Salvatore Ferragamo opened his first store in Hollywood in 1923 across the Grauman's Egyptian Theater, confirming the success that he had reached in the United States, where he had immigrated in 1915. In his main hall, the Egyptian Theater hosted theatrical performances and all the Hollywood premieres, including The Ten Commandments, directed by Cecil B. DeMille, who asked Ferragamo to design and make the shoes for the main characters. From that moment on, the young Italian would be known as the shoemaker of the stars and would become a major player in international fashion. Ferragamo's production would diversify into 3 lines: shoes for the movies, for the theater, and for the ballet. So that was a brief quote from the website. And then I also found this quote that I thought was inspiring from Cambina magazine. So this is a quote from them. It is perhaps fitting that Salvatore Ferragamo opened his first store in Hollywood exactly 100 years ago, aged just 25. After all, the great shoemaker's life story, from his humble origins in Italy, born into relative poverty, and 11th of 14 children, to his exuberant successes on the world stage, resembling a film script, a blockbuster in every sense. While his life began and ended in Italy, it was in Hollywood that his star was really born. Along with his legendary moniker, Shoemakers to the Stars. Throughout his illustrious career, the Italian immigrant who began designing shoes in Veneto, southern Italy, at the age of 9, dressed the feet of Hollywood's leading ladies and crafted shoes, sometimes thousands of them, for the silver screen. From Marilyn Monroe, Sophia Loren, to Judy Garland, Greta Garbo, and Audrey Hepburn, the most celebrated feet of Hollywood's golden age were wearing Ferragamo, who was by then one of the film industry's premier shoe suppliers. Not bad for a boy who arrived in America, aged just 16, to work in a Boston shoe factory. Is in the heart of town in the center city, and the building is definitely beautiful. As for the museum, it seemed more like a cop-out for a marketing scheme and not like an actual museum where you learn more about the history behind the brand. Ferragamo was more like a history and making of the brand, and Gucci Museum was more like a weird modern art museum. I was not that much of a fan of their exhibitions, especially since there was not many archival pieces, and the museum as a whole was very small and not as many exhibitions as the Ferragamo Museum. I feel like you are better off going into the actual store, the Gucci store on the bottom floor, than paying for a ticket for the museum. Also, the people attending the museum seemed uninterested in the history of the brand and more interested in taking Instagram photos and shopping, which is like, yeah, no shame. But I enjoyed the Ferragamo Museum much more because I learned more about the history of the person and the history and story of their immigration story and the history of their family. It was much more. They also had Ferragamo's immigration papers on display, which was really cool. And the Gucci Museum didn't go into it did not go into any of the lineage of Gucci. It barely talked about the start of Gucci, which was in saddle making. So that was a little bit of a letdown. It seemed more like a marketing scheme, and also a lot of the things that were exhibited in the museum were also being this was overall the highlight of my trip to Florence. It is the Scuola de Cuglio. I definitely butchered that, my apologies. If you were planning a trip to Florence and are looking to buy a leather bag, you must go to Scuola de Cuglio, which translates to leather school. It is one of the last leather schools and leather trade schools in Florence. This is a quote from their website. The leather school was founded after World War II through the collaborative efforts of the Franciscans Friars of Monastery of Santa Croce and Gori and Cassini families. I'm sorry if I butchered your last name. Florentine leather artisans since the 1930s. Their mission was to give orphans of the war a means to learn a practical trade with which to live and to earn a living. Just a few steps from the garden entrance of the monastery, the Scuola de Cuglio were an important part of the Santa Croce neighborhood. Scuola de Cuglio brought those traditions back to the monastery. The School of Leather takes pride in offering unique learning experiences to students and visitors from all over the world. For over 70 years now, the 4 generations of the Corey family have decided their efforts and commitment to reviving craftsmanship and pass it on to younger generations. So that was a little quote from their website. It is a family-owned business, if you did not hear, and the history of the school is very fascinating, and their leather making is specifically world-renowned. So I bought this bag from them, and I've already accessorized it with another purchase from another leather craftsman shop. I wish I could tell you what it was. I bought this in Rome, and my little jelly cat accessory, but I bought this bag, and I have a picture of them, I have a video, of them monogramming it. So they offer $3 monograms. So my name, AAP, is in it, Athena Angelina Plot, if you did not know. And their bags definitely range in price from I want to say $250 to $1,000. This was on the cheaper end of their prices. It comes with feet at the bottom, which is really nice, and 2 different straps. It comes with a crossbody, so you can wear it like this, and it also comes with a shoulder strap, which I usually wear it like this. basically went crazy with the yarn shopping, so I just wanted to show you. But that is the little summary of my trip. I know there's like a lot of information that I just like splashed at you, but I really took the time to write out an outline and put all my recommendations in the description below. So I highly suggest looking at that if you were planning a trip. So thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. And I'll see you in the vlog of Rome and Orvieto. So